I would guess that 95% of the prognosticators out there are going to pick either Michigan or Ohio State to win the
Mm.
conference this year. But I don't think that gives enough respect to Penn State and how they have built this program. I mean, they just lost to the two best teams in the conference, who were two of the best teams in the nation last year, in Michigan and Ohio State. Could they upset the apple cart and somehow win this division over those two powerhouses?
Yeah, they could. I mean, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of excitement around Penn State this year, and I think most of it is rightfully so. I mean, this is a talented roster. James and his staff have done a great job recruiting. I mean, they are really getting out there and bringing in prospects. They've helped themselves in the portal with a couple guys. The big question really is how quickly will Drew Aller, the five-star quarterback, how well will he play early, and how much can they count on him, particularly in those big games. He's got all the talent in the world, but, and he played a decent amount of snaps last year, but nothing like what he's going to be in, even in this first game against West Virginia as the starting quarterback. So he's super talented. It helps that I think their offensive line is probably the best that they've been in the last several years. They got a former or future first-round draft pick at left tackle. They've got two returning running backs that as freshmen combined for almost 2,000 yards and 22 touchdowns. So that's a good luxury for a quarterback to have is a strong running game as he eases in. And I think defensively, Penn State will be as good as either Ohio State or Michigan. I think they're going to be really good on defense. And again, Manny Diaz, in his second year as the defensive coordinator, Penn State's defense, after they got blown out and run through up in Ann Arbor by Michigan, the second half of the season, their defense was much better and they were much more physical. And I think they'll be a really good defense. They've got a lot of talent. They've got depth. So, the big question, okay, how quickly does Drew Aller come around? And can they beat? I don't think they have to beat both Ohio State and Michigan to climb to that next level, but they do need to beat one of them. They have Michigan at home, and they've got to go to Ohio State. So they do need to beat one of them to kind of take the next step and potentially be in position for a college football playoff spot.
I mean, the way that you described, Todd, they're the Nittany Lions, and I don't know if that's just your history and your roots here, but it sounds like one of the best teams in the country. And I don't disagree with you either, because I think there are people that said out there that Manny Diaz might have one of the best, if not the best, defense in the country. And you mentioned what they can do on the offensive side of the ball with Singleton and Allen, those two running backs, Fashanu at the offensive line. Like, it all does come down, like you said, to Drew Aller. Like, the program, you've heard kind of like how much faith do they have that he can kind of live up to that potential that he had on the recruiting trail?
Well, I think they have a lot of confidence in him. I think they feel comfortable that he knows their system. He's been around. He's run it. But again, this is the first time. I mean, the lights are bright as a starting quarterback at a place like Penn State, and he's got all the talent. I think he's got the right temperament and demeanor, and he wants to be great. And so I think it'll be a game-to-game thing. Where the better he plays and the more comfortable he is, the more they'll be able to give him and more responsibility they'll be able to give him. And again, I think they're going to lean on that running game and lean on their defense, in this early part of the season before they really get into the heavy part. And really, honestly, I think one of the most challenging games for Drew Aller and Penn State might be week 3 when they go to Illinois and take on Brett Bielema's team, because, they are a physical bunch. Brett has done a great job of changing the culture at Illinois in a very short amount of time. I had them last year against Michigan, the game Blake Corum got hurt, and Illinois, lost on a last-second field goal very easily. Could have won that game and won the Big Ten West. So that'll be an interesting, challenging game for Penn State and their new quarterback early in the season.